Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining me for your weekend love reading for the weekend of March 27th to March 29th, 2020. I did just put out the collective reading on Monday. It was a very powerful, very beautiful reading that had a lot of different implications towards external relationships and the internal experience. So if you haven't seen it, I do implore you to watch it. It was a very nice reading. But that said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Keep in mind that these are going to be split up likely into 3 parts again. So this reading should be part 1 for Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. Keep in mind that it can apply to any placement that you have of those in your chart. Even if you don't have those placements, you will have those signs in one of your houses. So I do implore you to have your chart open while we do this. Keep in mind time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa. So don't force it if it doesn't fit. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But that said, I'm going to take a deep breath so that I can connect deeper with my higher self and spirit, and I do implore you to do the same. Hello Aries, I hope you're doing well. This can apply to any Aries placement you have in your chart. If you are a cross watcher, I do not judge you, but keep in mind that while you may not have an Aries placement, you will have Aries in one of your houses. That said, I do implore you to have your chart open while we do this reading. Keep in mind time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa. So don't force it if it doesn't fit. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. With that said, we're going to do 2 shuffles and get into the energies for March 27th to March 29th in love for you, Aries. Try not to knock my crystals around this time. I did that quite a bit last time. Okay, so what do we have for you, Aries? We have King of Swords, the Lover's Reverse. We have 6 of Pentacles and the Fool, and then the Emperor Reverse, and the Queen of Swords are actually all sticking out, as well as the Hangman is also sticking out to me right now. So let me straighten these cards up real quick before diving into the overall energies of the reading. Okay, so if we're taking a look at these overall energies, we do have the Fool clarified by the Emperor Reverse, the Queen of Swords Reverse, and the Hanged Man. I mean, we can see the Hanged Man is clarifying the 6 of Pentacles, but to me, I pulled it out as the overall energy, so that's kind of how I'm taking it. So I'm getting a couple of things here. This could be definitely talking about a counterpart situation, keeping in mind that this is a love reading. The Emperor Reverse, Emperor can represent your masculine internal energies or the masculine dominant person you're dealing with. Keep in mind, this isn't gender specific. This can also represent the feminine energies here with the Queen of Swords. Given we do actually have counterparts on the table, we do have the King of Swords and then we have the Queen of Swords. And so if we're looking at this as the overall energy, this can represent your personal experience right now as a feminine dominant energy, but this can also represent a feminine energy you may be dealing with. Either way, both of these are on the table. We do have the Lovers on the table too, so it's coming through very strongly. This can very well be a soulmate, twin flame type of energy. Again, take that as it resonates. If we're taking a look at the feminine side of things, given we do have the Fool and the Emperor reversed. So what that's telling me right now is this, because I'm seeing it as a masculine and the feminine energy. So I guess the way this is really coming through for me is the masculine energy with the Emperor reverse. But we're kind of taking a look into the feminine side of the masculine's energy, right? And so what I'm seeing right now is a very similar message that has been coming through for the masculine energy over the course of the couple of months I've been doing these readings on YouTube. And it's been very similar in the sense that there's that sense of really taking that time to themselves. There's a really detached, solitary type of energy. That's indicated by the Hanged Man here. And so the Hanged Man to me represents somebody who is in a state of... what's the word? It's like in stasis. There it is. It's feeling like they're in a state of stasis. but with the Fool on the table, that it's like almost like they're contradictory energies. And so the Fool to me, to the Hanged Man, it's this energy of like in stasis in order to, I guess, like regenerate and heal childhood trauma and child wounding. Inner child wounding is what's coming out actually with the Fool. I mean, the Fool can all, I mean, it can represent, you know, new opportunities, taking that next step, taking a leap of faith. But I feel like in this context, as the overall energy, if this does apply to you, this can represent you just in a really, really deep state of healing right now. Given we do have the Six of Pentacles on the table, Six of Pentacles to me can represent giving or receiving, but it can also represent coming into a state of balance. If you've watched any of my readings, you know my views on the Three of Pentacles, and the Three of Pentacles to me is the divine triad, so, you know, mind, body, and soul. Given we do have the triad doubled, to me that kind of represents a balance between the ego and the higher self, right? And a healthy balance between the ego and the higher self. But that can also be indicated here too by the Lover's reverse, because the Lover's is the card of Gemini, but it is in the reverse. And while it can represent decisions, I feel like right now it represents a perceived delay of movement through a illusion of a lack of decision. So if we're looking at this in terms of external counterparts, Spirit's telling me to look at it both ways. So if we're looking at this in terms of external counterparts, I feel like you and this person, whether this is a masculine or a feminine energy you're dealing with, keep in mind we all have those energies within us. It's looking like this feminine energy is really in a state of just doing. And see, that's the thing, is like the feminine energy doesn't really seem to be coming through. I'm going to be honest with you. And the only reason I'm saying that is because the Emperor is here and the King of Swords is here. And while there is a Queen of Swords reverse, it doesn't really feel like to me that this is pertaining to a particular feminine dominant energy, but this is more so insight into what the masculine is going through. So keep in mind this can apply to lessons you're learning with your inner masculine, or with an external counterpart that dominates with masculine energy, or it has a dominant masculine energy, not dominates, but you know what I mean. So if we're looking at it like that, Spirit seems to be pointing me in that direction. This really looks like that stasis period is why there's a lack of decision making, why there is a lack of reciprocation or coming forward with any type of thing. But it's interesting because the King of Swords in the upright to me represents somebody who knows what they want, isn't afraid to go after it. But the fact that the Queen of Swords in the reverse, it's telling me that this person is more so afraid of hurting, or no, maybe not afraid, but they're recognizing what it was they did that hurt you. Or if this is vice versa, you're recognizing how you've hurt somebody. And that may be a reason as to why you're in this Hanged Man stasis type of period. We're going to clarify. No. Okay, so clarifying the King of Swords, we have the King of Pentacles reverse. Clarifying the Lovers reverse, we have the Queen of Wands. And clarifying the Hangman, and I guess Six of Pentacles, we'll do a scene pull with this one, we have Death. So you could be dealing with a Scorpio. Death is a Scorpio card, but it can also represent rebirth, transformation. To me, Death often represents the falling away of the external circumstance. I'm here and seeing the star come out here too. Let me go and pull that, and the Sun reverse. This has been working out really well with these bottom of the deck cards. They've been really coming through lately. I mean, coming out and coming through. So clarification going a bit differently than usual today. But if we're looking at the Death card, really just clarifying the overall energy. I feel like this transformation in this situation is divinely orchestrated, right? It's serving a higher purpose, and that's what I'm seeing here by the star. The star to me represents, it looks like a lot like Temperance, right? It's very similar to, which is interesting because we have Temperance at the bottom of the deck of this Golden Dawn Tarot. And so if you can see the similarities, right? And it's as if we're looking at the higher and the lower in terms of like the celestial planes and the physical plane, material planes. And so I feel like that's, I'm just going to keep this card out because it seems to be really coming through in the context of this reading. So the star and the Temperance, it's just a time of balance, quite honestly. I know sometimes it can be tough when there's no movement, or you don't see any movement, or somebody's not moving forward, or there's really just no communication at all. But you got to understand and learn to find the silver lining in that situation. And that's what I'm seeing here with the Sun reverse. You really have to learn to find the blessing in disguise that's presenting itself to you. Because the more you focus on the lack of movement, the more you're going to keep yourself in a state of feeling like you're in a hanged man instead of feeling like you're in the death energy, in the Fool energy. And so it's kind of like a decision type of energy too, which can be represented by this Lover's reverse. It's like saying you need to make a decision. Are you going to keep yourself in stasis for the sake of dwelling on the past, or are you going to keep yourself in stasis for the sake of transforming and growing into a better person so that you're not held back by anything that goes wrong in your life, given internal or external type of experiences? But we're going to get a closing message here for, actually, you know what? I did not even touch on these two cards. Hold on. So we had the King of Pentacles reverse. King of Pentacles reverse, clarifying the King of Swords and the Sun reverse energy, is telling me that you need to take a little bit more time to sift through your emotions before really taking charge and moving forward in a particular situation. So if we're looking at this as the masculine energy that came out earlier, this feels like what they are going through right now. And now I'm seeing the feminine energy come through a bit more with this Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands tells me that the feminine energy, this may be you, this may be the person you're dealing with, can very well apply to both. Spirit is confirming that yes, it can very well apply to both, and it does. And the reason it does, because we both have the feminine energy, so I feel like the feminine right now, if we're looking at this in the context of our personal experiences, we're really learning to take our power back in a way that isn't necessarily so focused on the external, right? We're more so recognizing what it means to take our power back internally. And I feel like that's not only a lesson for you, but for this other person you may be dealing with. And that's why we have this King of Pentacles reversed here, because there's this sense of needing to plan ahead, needing to really be cautious with how you move forward. Because if the King of Pentacles was in the upright, this represents somebody who's very well manifested, who is very much grounded, who is very, very abundant in the material realms. Not saying that any of us aren't abundant, because I feel like abundance can apply in so many different ways if you know how to look for it in the right places. But right now, this is telling me this intermediary period and this stagnation and this stasis period is really helping you come to a deeper sense of balance. And I know I sound like a broken record, but that is just the message that is coming through for the collective of Aries. But keep in mind that just because this is for Aries and just because this is for the weekend doesn't mean it has to apply just for those stipulations. It can apply to any sign, literally anybody that watches this. If the message resonates with you, then that message is meant for you. But if not, please don't force it. So we're going to get a closing message here for you. Animal messages, closing message. What do we got for Aries? So, closing message here for you, Aries, we have the Bear. Right off the bat, without reading it, I'm hearing hibernation. But let's see, it says nurture creativity and return to the sweetness of life. I don't feel like this message applies in the way it's coming across on the card, but what I really am picking up is hibernation. That was the first thing that came through for me. And I think this is just a hangman type of energy. The Bear to me represents the hangman type of energy. Really waiting for the right time to strike, really being creative in this time of solitude. Learning to maybe nurture your creativity, so that can make sense too. It's like, given that many of us are in a state of likely just having to stay at home, if you aren't, then this is basically recognizing the fact that in order to find the beauty in life again, you're going to have to be creative. So this can apply to those that are stuck at home and those that are still having to be out in the world and work. And so it's really just a reminder that the creativity of life needs to be nurtured, and you need to find ways to rejuvenate that inner peace and inner joy, and learn to find that solace within, opposed to focusing so much on the external circumstances, and learning to see the higher lessons and interworkings of everything going on right now. But that said, that is all I have for you, Aries. If you'd like to book a personal reading, please send me an email to jzargoshepard@gmail.com. But I love you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe and stay calm out there, but I will see you in your next reading. Bye-bye. Hello, Taurus. Hope you're doing well. Keep in mind that this reading can apply to any Taurian placement you have in your charts. If you are a cross-watcher, I do not judge you, but keep in mind that while you may not have a Taurian placement, you will have Taurus in one of your houses. That said, I do implore you to have your chart open when we do this reading. Keep in mind time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa. So do not force it if it doesn't fit, and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But that said, we're going to go ahead and do 4 shuffles for you before getting into the energies for the weekend of March 27th to March 29th in love. Just saw the 4 cups pop out there. Just thought it was interesting because we're doing 4 shuffles. Can speak of the need to sit with the emotions a bit. Can speak of the need to evaluate why you're feeling the way you're feeling, or not trying to define it also. given it is the context of love, maybe recognizing ways in which a relationship needs to be reviewed. I believe that was 3. Let me do one more. We'll see what comes out though. I'm not going to take that 4 of Cups too seriously, given I just split the deck and saw it. Last shuffle. So we already got an 8 of Wands that wanted to come out. Alright, Taurus, what do we got for you? We have the Lovers at the bottom of the deck, 3 of Cups, and the 7 of Wands. But let's see what else comes out, excuse me. Okay. So this can be a counterpart situation. This came out for Aries. The Emperor came out for Aries. So the Empress coming out for your reading can speak of your internal feminine energies. It can also represent another person you are dealing with. But I'm feeling like, or Spirit's telling me that this is really going to be applying to you. If some external energies come through, we will speak on them, but right now it's looking like this is your reading. Given it is the King of Pentacles, this represents your energy, earth sign type of energy. What I'm feeling like right now, if we're taking a look at this overall energy, we have the Lovers. Can represent a decision. It is a card of Gemini. Can also represent the internal balance between feminine and masculine energies. Given we do have the 3 of Cups and the 7 of Wands. So what I'm seeing right now is it feels like a very happy, celebratory type of energy. It feels like either a decision was made or somebody is going to come through. I'm not really one to speak on like what might happen in the future, because I mean, given time and energy are so fluid, anything and everything can happen. And so it feels wrong of me to sit here and say this is going to happen, because it's just me looking into a very quick snapshot into the energy of a collective of Taurians, right? But what I am seeing here, and Spirit is guiding me to speak on this, 7 of Wands does, oh no, I just messed up my cards. Excuse me. It really bugs me when they're not straight, to be honest. So you might see me like fiddling with the cards a lot. It's because I just really like them to look the way they look organized. But anyways, excuse me. So the 7 of Wands to me represents, messages to love. It can represent a victory of some kind. So I'm feeling like if this is in the context of a relationship, given the Lovers, that can represent a relationship. It can represent a twin flame, soulmate type of connection. It feels like there is a victory to be won. The energy here feels very, very nice. And I know for a while, Taurus energy that was coming through was, it wasn't the lightest, but it wasn't the heaviest. It was this weird kind of phase I feel like Taurians were going through. Specifically the ones that were coming out for these readings. But it feels like, you've had the time to sit with yourself, and it looks like you're coming out of that period. And it feels like you're really coming to a time of celebration, given we do have the 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups to me in this context can represent, celebrating with friends, celebrating with family. Celebrating with somebody you really love. Doesn't have to be friends or family. It can be romantic. It doesn't have to be romantic. But if we're taking a look at this Empress and the King of Pentacles energy, what I'm seeing, or what I'm feeling more than anything, it's as if you're really coming into your own power as it pertains to your feminine energy. Given Taurus is a very earthy energy, given that is feminine energy in the tarot, this can be very likely to represent you coming into your feminine power, right? Again, it doesn't have to be gender specific, but given we do have the 8 of Wands here, the 8 of Wands, this is what would feel like the external energy to me. All of this feels like your energy, but this 8 of Wands just doesn't necessarily feel tied to your particular internal experience. This seems like an external type of energy wanting to come through, but that will be determined as we clarify here. Alright, Taurus, so clarifying here, we do have the Knight of Swords, so yeah, this can definitely pertain to somebody wanting to come through. We do have the Hermit, though. And then we have the Chariot reverse. And I'm seeing Death come out at the bottom of the deck with the Star. So let me straighten these out real quick and we'll jump into the reading. So if we're taking a look at this Knight of Swords, given I did say this felt like an external energy, this to me really does feel like an external energy. However, it's not a King of Swords, you know what I mean? I feel like a Knight of Swords is a more immature type of communication. It does feel like a very flighty type of energy. So while there is a Eight of Wands, there is the sense of somebody wanting to communicate, maybe somebody from a distance. To me, the Eight of Wands represents like a distance type of energy, somebody at a long distance from you, perhaps. It doesn't always have to be the case, but that is kind of what is coming through with this Knight of Swords, given they are flying in the sky with a dragon, or they're flying on a dragon, right? They have their sword of truth. They're on a conquest to send messages of love, perhaps. And that can feel like why we have this kind of really happy energy here with this Lovers, Seven of Swords, and Three of Cups. The Seven of Swords, Seven of Wands, excuse me. This can represent you coming to a deep inner transformation. That's what's speaking to me here of the Death card. Death is speaking to me of that inner transformation, excuse me. Completely mixed up those words. So it's feeling like there has been a deep transformation. You have learned to tame some of your animalistic emotions. Given the Chariot reverse to me represents the fact that you recognize the ways in which you let yourself go out of control and you've kind of reined yourself in. And that's what I'm seeing here by this Hermit and the Star energy. The Star energy represents you connecting deeper with your higher selves, seeing the deeper lessons that are presenting themselves to you, and recognizing the divine alignments that are being brought to your path right now. Because you took this time to go within, because you have the Hermit energy, you took your time, you really did the work, you brought yourself into balance, and now I feel like that is actually what is shifting the connection, right? So it's like you bringing yourself into this balance is causing this Knight of Swords, given this does feel like a type of twin flamey, soulmatey type energy. When you do work on yourself, you often affect the other person that you feel most connected to. Given there's no obligations when it comes to those type of connections, but if you are in a connection like that and you do resonate with that, and that is what is coming through. It feels like all the work you're doing within yourself, you did it for yourself. And I think that's why there is a shift, because you didn't do it for somebody else. You didn't do it to bring in some type of relationship. You really did it just to bring yourself into a greater sense of inner peace. And I think that's important, especially when it comes to doing the inner work. But we're just going to get a closing message here for you, because it seems it's going to be some redundancy coming out if I continue. Overall, it's a beautiful energy. I'll be real. This is one of the best energies I've gotten for these weekend readings in a while, to be honest. Because a lot of the weekend readings have been very similar. And not even just the weekend, but the collective readings. The energy has been very heavy. It feels very dense. A lot of deep emotional processing going on. So this is a nice breath of fresh air. Especially considering I am a Taurus. I have 4 Taurus placements. So this does feel nice as well. So we're going to get a closing message here for you, Taurus. We have the Water Buffalo. This can represent you. This can, even though, is a buffalo no, I guess a bull would represent Taurus, but a very similar type of energy so far. So anyways, face life head on with courage and reclaim the brave spirit within you. I actually want to take a look at the book, because I have not actually got this card, and this doesn't really seem like a message that applies, which tells me that there's probably something more within the book. No, it's not that it doesn't apply, but I just want to get some more insight here, if I can find it. So it says water buffalo swims placidly through India's sacred waters, cooling her comfortable rich brown body and languidly wallowing in thick mud. But her pacific maternal exterior belies a wild, tempestuous nature. She faces life head on, and on great crescent horns tosses enemies determinedly behind her. Tragedy and failure are intrinsic to living, but sometimes we are cowed by events, unable to move forward. Mighty Buffalo is the brave spirit within your soul waiting to be reclaimed. Take your courage in both hands and dare to be. So I guess what's really coming through, it was a very similar message to the main message here, but I think what's really coming through, it's just a confirmation that you've grown, is recognizing the fact that, you really have learned what it means to trudge through the depths of your emotions. As we saw in that book, it had a lot to do with this cow trudging in the waters, covering themselves in mud. And so I feel like this is very representative of you doing the work and coming out on the other side victorious. Given in the book, it was stating this water buffalo tosses its enemies behind her with their horns. And so I feel like this does represent you, in the sense that you have faced your inner demons and you have learned to just really let them go. And so I think closing message here, it's really just a really beautiful confirming type of reading today. Really nothing too serious or heavy coming through. It's just a confirmation and a nod from the universe, like, hey, you're doing a fantastic job. Keep doing what you're doing. It's affecting your world in ways that you've been wanting to for a while, and may very well be affecting a connection with somebody that you've had on your mind for a while. So that said, that does conclude your reading for the weekend, Taurus. It was a lovely reading, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. Stay safe and stay calm out there. If you'd like to book a personal reading, please send me an email to jzargoshepard@gmail.com. But that said, that does conclude your reading, and I will see you in your next reading. Bye-bye. Hello, Gemini. Hope you're doing well. Keep in mind that this reading can apply to any Gemini placement you have in your chart. If you are a cross-watcher, I do not judge you, but do keep in mind that while you may not have a Gemini placement, you will have Gemini in one of your houses. That said, I do implore you to have your chart open while we do this reading. Keep in mind that time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa. So do not force it. If it doesn't fit, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. With that said, we're going to do 2 shuffles, and we're going to get into the reading your energies for the weekend of March 27th to March 29th, 2020 in love. Okay, these want to come out, so we'll take them. Not bad. So let's get a final little couple cards here for you. No, it's not coming out. So it's actually no clarifying bottom of the decks coming out today, just this very concise reading here. So what I am seeing, it really feels like you're ready to leave something behind. And that's what I'm getting here with this King of Wands. Excuse me, these cards are getting bent, and so it's getting harder to keep them straight. There we go. Oh no. There we go. And I just messed all the other ones up. Just give me a second, please. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, these 2 cards wanted to really pop out, so I'm going to focus on those. But the 8 of Cups to me represents somebody who is emotionally dissatisfied, represents the desire to move away from a relationship, perhaps, to really just walk away from something that has been burdensome. And that's what I'm seeing here with this King of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles to me represents, starting a new foundation, beginning a new journey, right? If you do look at any of the Knight or Page energies within the Pentacles, or any of the suits really, like if you see here the King of Wands is holding the Ace of Wands in their hand, and so if you were to see this with any other court card, they would be holding the Ace of Pentacles if it was a Pentacle suit. So what I'm seeing here, it just really feels like you're ready to move on from something. Either you've already moved on, or you're in the process of moving on. And that's really what the King of Wands represents. The King of Wands represents somebody who is passionate, who knows what they want, and is ready to move forward and take the steps necessary to get there. Specifically with the 10 of Wands in reverse, I don't know, it's almost a contradictory type of energy, because if the 10 of Wands was upright, to me that would represent you're coming to the end of some burdensome mental cycles. Given it's in the reverse, that can tell me a few things in this context. Right now I'm seeing that you may have already left all of that behind. And given the 10 of Wands reverse is the overall energy, there's a sense of just being fed up, I guess is what it is, because it's like you have this overall energy here, and this 10 of Wands can represent you just really being done, and the 8 of Wands and Ace of Pentacles, is telling me that you're ready to just keep pushing, honestly. So let's just clarify here. Keep in mind this can represent another person you're dealing with too. This King of Wands can represent a fire sign you're dealing with. But it really doesn't feel like that. This really feels like your energy coming through. So we're going to clarify. Clarifying the 8 of Cups, we have the 10 of Cups. Clarifying the Ace of Pentacles, we have the Queen of Swords. Clarifying the King of Wands, we have the 3 of Wands reverse. And we have the Queen of Wands clarifying as the overall energy. So this can be counterpart, soulmate type of situation. It doesn't really feel like a twin flame type of situation. It does feel like there is some type of, karmic connection in this relationship here, whether you're still with this person or this is somebody from your past. I'm feeling like you have realized, either you or this person, because now we have a feminine energy on the table. Keep in mind this isn't gender specific. So we have the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands. Can represent your internal masculine and feminine experience. Can also represent an external relationship between you and another feminine, or you and another masculine energy. So But it's interesting here is we have the 10 of Cups clarifying this 8 of Cups. So to me, in this context, it feels like you are recognizing what it is you truly want out of life and relationships. And the Queen of Swords tells me that you're ready to move forward with that. You're ready to get what it is what you want. But I think the warning here is to be impeccable with your word, right? And I believe that's actually one of the 4 agreements. I don't know, I forgot what the name of that is, but there's a book called The 4 Agreements, and I think that's one of the agreements. It says be impeccable with your word, right? So what I'm seeing here in the context of this reading, it feels like there's the sense of needing to be cautious with the way you speak to people. Recognize that your words do have power and can actually cause a lot of harm if you're not careful. So, but with the fact that we have the 3 of Wands reverse, seemingly between you two right now, even though the 10 of Swords is the overall energy, this feels like this can be the overall energy between these two people. It's feeling like now isn't the time to, no, that's not really what's coming through. That's trying to word it in a way that makes sense, because sometimes these messages come through as like concepts and not necessarily words and sentences, if that makes sense. So it's this energy of, it's like not celebratory. It's really just honestly the 2 words that I'm getting right now. It says not celebratory, but it's not so much that you don't want to celebrate with each other. It's just you're not really finding any kind of fulfillment in this relationship is what it feels like. And so either this feminine energy or this masculine energy looks like they're ready to cut something out. Whether that is an old way of existing in this partnership or the relationship itself. It can very well represent the ending of some particularly unhealthy behaviors between you two. So this may also represent the fact that you both know what it is you need to do to grow as a couple, but to do so you need to kind of move past some of this 10 of Swords reverse type of energy, and you need to kind of have a really, really honest and deep conversation about what it is you really need out of a relationship opposed to what you're receiving from each other, and recognize that you both are not obligated to give to each other in ways that you may not feel ready to, or you may not have the capacity to, keeping in mind the fact that, I mean, you have an obligation to yourself, right? You don't have to be obligated to anybody in any kind of way, but you do need to make sure you're being true to yourself, because if you're not, you're going to lose yourself in relationships. So let's get a closing message here for you, Gemini. Closing message for Gemini, we have the Eagle, create your vision. So I'm feeling like right now is a good time to start seeing the higher purpose of this relationship, to start looking at it from a bird's eye view. Stop focusing so much on the pettiness. Stop focusing so much on the little, I guess the petty squabbles is what's coming through, and really see the deeper meaning and power that comes with being in a partnership like this, and recognize that it is a perfect foundation for growth on both ends. There is, again, no obligation to having to stay with a particular person for this reason, but recognize that a relationship is going to challenge you. It is going to push you in ways that you may not have been ready to do, but likely that's because we've called that type of growth into our life. And so I think it's important for us to own up to that, own up to the lessons that life is presenting to us, regardless of whether we see that as difficult, because let's be honest, a lot of the time some of the biggest breakthroughs that we have in our personal growth and relationships come from some very difficult situations. While we don't always have to grow through difficulties, that is oftentimes a very big marker of some big life shifts and changes, leading us deeper into ourselves and thus placing us further on our own personal life path. But that said, that does conclude your weekend reading. If you would like to book a personal reading, please send me an email to jzargoshepard@gmail.com. I love you so much. I hope you stay safe and stay calm out there, but I will see you in your next reading. Bye-bye. Hello, Cancer. I hope you're doing well. Keep in mind that this reading can apply to any Cancerian placement you have in your chart. If you're a cross-watcher, I do not judge you, but do keep in mind that while you may not have a Cancerian placement, you will have Cancer in one of your houses. That said, I do implore you to have your chart open while we do this reading. Keep in mind, time and energy are fluid, so these messages can apply to you, another person, or vice versa. So if it doesn't fit, don't force it. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But that said, we're actually going to do one shuffle, and we're going to get into your readings. I don't know why Spirit's telling me to do one shuffle, but I'm not going to question it. So we're going to get into the energies for your weekend love reading of March 27th to March 29th, 2020. So coming through. Okay. Four of Wands can represent foundation, spiritual relationship, etc. Spirit's telling me overall energy, so we'll keep it there. Let's go ahead and get this going for you. We have the Star, we have Five of Cups reverse, and then we have Princess of Wands reverse. Well, Spirit's telling me that I guess you need to stop finding the flow. That's what's coming through. And that's what I'm seeing here by this. It's as if avoiding the work is actually part of the work. That's kind of this really contradictory energy, because when I see the Star, to me that represents, divinely orchestrated events, following your higher self, listening to your intuition, really just following your path to the T, not really questioning much and just kind of going with the flow of the universe. But the fact that we had the Princess of Pentacles reverse and the Star reverse, that tells me that you getting knocked off of your path, or what seems to be getting knocked off of your path, is actually part of your path, right? And so when you are looking at your life in a way that doesn't fit what you thought it was going to be, that's actually leading you deeper into where you really should be in some ways. And so by you trying to maintain so much control over which way it is you're moving in life, you're actually, really going against the flow of the universe. And so I feel like this is coming out to you right now to really question your spiritual nature, really question your spiritual foundation. If this is in terms of a relationship, this can represent needing to question the nature of the relationship. Princess of Wands in the reverse can represent somebody you're dealing with. Whether this is you or the other person doesn't really matter, because what's coming through is this energy is somebody who is clinging onto a relationship because they are afraid of moving past their own personal pain. So this can represent somebody who tends to dive into relationships because there's an immediate connection based on like a trauma bond. Trauma bonding being somebody you connect with based on traumas that you share. Let's clarify a little bit though. We have quite a few messages coming through here, and I want to get some clarification on these. So let's clarify here. We have the Devil clarifying the Star reverse. We have Seven of Wands clarifying the Five of Cups reverse. We have the Four of Cups clarifying the Princess of Wands reverse, and the Three of Pentacles, Three of Wands reverse clarifying the Four of Wands. So if you think about the Five of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite, usually you see this character dwelling on the two spilled cups in front of them while there's three full cups behind. When this is in the reverse, this tells me you're focusing too much on the three spilled cups and not focusing on the two full cups behind you. And so essentially what this means to me in the context of this reading is you're focusing too much on what hasn't happened to appreciate what is happening, not only externally to yourself, but internally, right? But what I'm seeing here with the Devil energy and the Star reverse, you just really need to stop letting your ego and your shadow get the best of you. There needs to be a sense of balance coming through, and that's what I'm seeing with this Four of Cups. The Four of Cups can represent a time of evaluating your emotions in a relationship, evaluating the ways in which a relationship was built, evaluating the foundations of the relationship, I think is the main message coming through for this reading. But the Four of Wands and the Four of Cups, four can often represent foundations. But we do have the Seven of Wands, and Seven of Wands to me can represent a victorious type of energy. And so what I'm feeling like here is this particular period that you're going through is actually a victorious period, even if it doesn't seem like it. And I feel like the reason you're not seeing that is because there's like a devilish energy trying to really just make you see things in a way that isn't true to your personal experience. And there's the need to learn to let people have their own reality and let people have their own opinions and ideas about what it is you're experiencing, but just recognize that like that's their experience. If this is in the context of the relationship, this person may be experiencing the relationship in a way that doesn't make sense to you. They may be coming to you and saying, hey, like this and that hurt my feelings, or this, that, and the third is the reason why I feel like this isn't working. And so I think it's a reminder to be open to having these types of discussions, but still stay true to yourself and recognize if somebody is projecting, but also take enough accountability to recognize if you're projecting onto this person or the relationship. Because the Three of Wands reverse to me tells me that there's not this sense of really wanting to move forward. There's not this sense of playfulness when it comes to viewing the future of this relationship. It really does feel like a difficult period that you may be going through with this person. It does feel like it is serving a deeper purpose, as most things do, but it's recognizing the fact that you can't let this bring you down. You can't let this relationship knock you off your path. So we're getting actually a couple different stories, because earlier it was a story of like recognizing like being knocked off your path is part of your path kind of thing. But what I'm seeing now with these further clarifications coming out is feeling like you need to not let this relationship bring you down, like you may have let relationships bring you down in the past. And so if this relationship is ended, or if there's some very difficult experiences you're going through with this person, you just really need to learn to detach when necessary in order to maintain your own personal boundaries and stability. Let's get a closing message though. Closing message for Cancer, we do have the Wolf. Wolf says, listen to your inner wisdom and enjoy the gift of freedom, right? So really feels like finding the silver lining right now. If this person is, Spirit is basically telling me if this person wants space, or if this person wants a break, or if they want to leave, or whatever it is they want to do, you can't let that deter you from enjoying your own life, and really just learn to find the deeper lessons coming through your inner wisdom, right? And that's what the Wolf says here. Wolf can also represent sticking with your pack, recognizing the fact that you may have people in your life that want to help you, but you need to learn to ask for help. But also like learning to enjoy the gift of freedom. And I think that's the main takeaway here, is recognizing that while this may have come to an end, this does feel like a very toxic energy. I'm going to be honest, like the fact that we have the Devil here with the Seven of Wands and all of these other cards up here, it feels like this person has been coming through, maybe love bombing you, maybe trying to get you to believe things that aren't actually true to the situation that you are experiencing. So it's this need to really listen to your inner wisdom and set yourself free if you need to, and recognize that if this person is being deceptive, you can't lie to yourself about that. Like if you discover something and the universe is really showing you some things and you can't really deny it anymore, you have to learn to accept that, and you're going to have to learn to walk away if necessary, because if you're going to keep associating with these types of energies, naturally it's going to bring you down, and it will lead you to being knocked off your path. Because when it does come to these types of relationships and these types of energies that come into your life, there's this sense of recognizing the fact that when you do start to get really, like you really start hunkering down and you start doing what you need to do and putting in the work, oftentimes there will be people that try to come and knock you off of that, not pedestal, but knock you off of your thrones, so to speak. There may be people that are not happy about what it is you're doing. If we're looking at this in terms of like wolves, if we're thinking about this in terms of like, packs of wolves and, different wolf factions, if that's a thing. I don't know if wolves fight against other wolves. I'm pretty sure, right? Because you have like the pack leader and that whole like defending other wolves thing. So to me, what I'm seeing here, you need to learn to trust in your spiritual team, so that can represent your higher self, your spirit guides, just whatever it is you resonate with, learning to trust in that inner wisdom and recognize that there may be people that are just not happy with what you're doing, and it may be their own inner demons that are cause for that. So it's recognizing the fact that you need to stand up for yourself and learn to set boundaries when necessary. But that said, that's really all that's coming out for you, Cancer. I hope you have a beautiful week. If you would like to, a weekend, excuse me. If you would like to book a personal reading, please send me an email to jzargoshepard@gmail.com. Stay safe and stay calm out there. I love you so much. But that does conclude your reading for the weekend. And I will see you in your next reading. So bye-bye. But that does conclude part 1 of the reading, so I will actually see you all in part 2 if you are seeing the end of this reading. Thank you so much for watching any of these. I appreciate you. But yeah, part 2. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.